Welcome, everyone. Welcome, everyone. Happy Thursday, ladder climbers. Happy Thursday. It is February the 24th. I hope you guys are having a fantastic week. My week has been pretty dope. I must say that. It's been busy as all hell, but it's been pretty dope. We are coming up on the end of our fiscal year for the corporate job, which ends on Monday the 28th. And guys, I've already hit my numbers, man. So you know me, I'm just chilling at this point in time, but I got those closures done earlier this week as well too. So things are very, very awesome. I wanted to have this show this afternoon because I have a dope content creator who's going to come on and share their story on how they got into tech and also offer some career advice as well too. So before we start there, let me just do this. I want to shout out to my patrons, guys. I had an opportunity to meet Norris, who just joined the group. He just moved to Austin, Texas from Dallas, and he's working at a dope company that's responsible for the metaverse. And him and I had an opportunity to spend some time together on Tuesday at the vineyard that we're vineyard that we're a part of, and catch up. I want to shout out to another dope patron. Well, all my patrons are dope, but I had an opportunity to talk to very many people this week, from Gibran to Alexandria, who is my cousin. I had no idea that we were related. We're actually from the same town. We grew up in the same town as well. I'm a little bit older, but we grew up in the same town and know a lot of the same people as well too. And it's so interesting that the internet can connect people who are family members that didn't even know that. But shout out to Brother Trey. Shout out to Brother Joshua. Shout out to all the dope patrons, guys. And if you haven't joined the Patreon yet, you want to be a part of the community that's consistently growing and about getting to the bag, guys. And not only that, just, moving forward, ladder climbing. That's what we call ourselves. We're ladder climbers, getting to and meeting our goals and so forth. So guys, let me do this. I want to start this show off by jumping over to the chats. We got Crypt Technology in it. Well, I can't even say the name right there, man. He says Crypt Tech. Jesus Christ, my tongue is all over the place. Crypt Technology is in the house. We got Flo OG, who's in the house as well too. Flo is dope. Had an opportunity to speak to him as well too. Dope patron of ours in the house. We got Sister Tamara Wade in the house as well too. I appreciate you for joining, Tam. We got Kamal, who's in the house as well too, coming to us from Japan. A ladder climber as well as a patron of ours as well too. So we got all of our folks in the house. I appreciate each and every one of you. If I can get my words right, we got Mrs. Wade in the house as well too. She's dropping a link to the Patreon, guys. Go ahead and become part of the Patreon community. We'll be getting to the bag, y'all. We get into the bag and having those important conversations. And not only that, we're ladder climbing, guys. It's very important to be a part of a community with like-minded people, getting the game, stuff that you don't typically get, and you are all a part of a community. Now that I have said that, I want to bring on our guests, because I've been, late to the show because I was chopping it up in the background with him, talking about boxing. He's a big boxing fan. He's a cybersecurity professional, and he does some wonderful things. And he's also a content creator as well too. Let me do this. Let me bring up our wonderful guest. Let me get this off my face first, because I don't want to have this edit the show the entire time. Let me do this. Let me bring in our wonderful guest, man. TechtualChatter, how you doing, brother?
Man, I'm doing good, man. Thank you for having me tonight.
I am happy that you were able to join. I came across you by Brother Keep It Techie's channel, and I saw you guys. Yes, shout out to KIT. And I was like, man, we got to have a collab, and we were able to make it work on today's time. So thank you so much for coming on the show, man.
Man, thank you, man. I know you're a busy man. You got the autoresponders on when you email me, man. So I appreciate you for fitting me in.
You are absolutely welcome, man. You are absolutely welcome. So you got to tell us, where are you from, Textual Chatter, man? Tell us, give the audience a little bit of background who you are, because obviously this is first time on the channel, and you're going to get us some subscribers, and people want to know who you are and where you're from. Tell people that.
All right, cool. So how y'all doing, everybody? My name is Unri Davis, aka HD if you watch the channel, aka Textual Chatter. I was born and raised in Shreveport, Louisiana. Then I did college, undergrad in Louisiana Tech. After that, I got my first tech job doing help desk from about 2014 to 2016. Then I moved to Dallas, started working in the NOC. Also enrolled into grad school at the University of Dallas, where I got my master's of technology management. And then from there, while finishing grad school, I actually started my cybersecurity career. So I've been in cybersecurity the last 5 or 6 years now. Went from working for, I can tell you some past companies. I used to work for McAfee, and the company before that I was working with was Optiv. And this last company is nameless until I leave it, but it's on my LinkedIn. If you want to look me up, you can find me on LinkedIn. So I pretty much know my career background is help desk, NOC, SOC. Threat analyst, lead threat analyst, and now I'm working in incident response. And outside of that, I'm also, like you said, a content creator.
Yep.
I have a podcast where I use it to, like we're doing now, I use it to highlight us in the community, and also a big preference on Black women, because there's not a lot of them in the space. And I got 2 daughters, so I kind of just want to do that representation thing. And I'm also a career coach, so I've been helping people get jobs over the last 2 years, whether it's came from doing their resume, coaching them, or even, recently I've helped people just reviewing their resume, get some 6-figure offers. So that's a little bit about me.
Wow, man, that's a lot about you, not a little bit. No, see, you are doing some wonderful things. And then, I say this also, Textual Chatter, is that, when you come across dope people, you also want to connect with them. And I think that's the coolest thing about this YouTube content creation space, right? Is, me coming across you on KIT's channel, right? Me coming across KIT on Brother O'Shea Duke Jackson's channel, then, you start to build a very strong network. And little do we know, we have, we're closer than we thought we were. You live in Dallas. You're only 2 hours away from me. I had no idea. Right. I was just talking to you behind the scenes like, oh, the next time I'm in Dallas, which probably is going to be within another month or so, we can go out and have some dinner or something like that, right? Or either next time you're in Austin, the exact same thing.
I definitely got to go back to Austin.
Yeah, exactly. Well, anytime you're in Austin, you got to look me up, my man. That's the thing that's important about this whole piece of it. But before we do that, I like to talk about the education component first. All right. Obviously, you have an undergrad. You also have an MBA. Talk to us about the decision for you to get going to tech first with your undergrad. What did you major in when you first went to school?
So funny thing is, not to make a long drawn out story, is initially when I went to LA Tech, I wanted to be an architect. In high school, I took a welding and a woodshop class. I was like, man, I'll be able to do this, with ease. Well, not really with ease, but when I seen the time that architects had to put in at Hale Hall, it's like the architect building. And, those guys are highly skilled at drawing, which I was not. So I was going to have to take drafting class. So I was already going to be doing stuff that I probably naturally wasn't good at, which is going to, push me back. On top of, I looked at the return on investment, and, it might be some architects watching this now, they're making a lot of money now, but in the beginning, for the work they put in, they don't start off paying them like they should. And so I paid attention to that, and I was like, man, I'm not finna be doing all this just for them to pay me, something like this when I should be making more, because this is a skill set. Like, everybody can be an architect. Yeah. So after that, I went and talked to my advisor, and I just started looking at stuff that I kind of already liked. And I always like, fooling with computers or whatever. And I've actually detailed this in like 2 of my videos. Like, I looked at this salary chart, like IT managers and database and all this stuff, and it showed the salaries, and I was like, oh, that's what I'm gonna do then. So I enrolled in CIS the second quarter. We're on the quarter system. So the good thing was I really didn't waste time when I changed my major. Like, a lot of people go 3 years in and change their major and keep on pushing back. So I stayed on course because I went in at 18 and then I finished when I was 21. So, and in that computer information system major, which is we'll talk about this later. Why I also got a problem with it a little bit now. It covered classes like database, networking, some programming classes. Then we had like mixed with the business classes, which were like one of my hardest classes was supply chain management. Supply chain management.
By the way, that's the industry that I'm in.
Right. I took 3 econ classes, quantitative analysis. You had to take like those gen ed classes like English and British lit, which I don't know why. Math. I took a couple of classes, like a forensics class. I mean, I towards the end, like my major classes were better than the classes I didn't really care about, but I did learn something from that, that supply chain class, years ago. It was pretty cool. But that's kind of what made me make that decision, was this the money aspect, number one. And I knew it was flexible. I had always said when I was younger, I wanted a position that, at the end of the day, they say, oh, you can work from home. Well, it's not predicated on me interacting, with people in person or having to go to the office. Like even now, eventually, I'll probably have to be in the office, in a couple of months. But, if I feel like I want that to change, I can always find somebody that'll let me work remote, And so that's the best thing about it is, flexibility right there.
I love it. I love that you said that too, Textual Chatter, because, I like to talk about the education component of it. And the reason why I wanted to hit it specifically for you is because something that I talk about on this channel a lot is if somebody's going to go down the educational route and educational path, which is the traditional path that I would say, right, is you want to pick a major that's going to give you an ROI, and you hit it. All right. You looked at the ROI. Well, the other piece of it is you picked a dope major. I mean, obviously, I'm a fan of management information systems because that's the major that I majored in. CIS is basically the brother of that program. In most programs, they're not going to have both. It's either going to be one or the other. And I would say this, right? When I kind of draw the lines of, okay, well, this is the business side. This is the highly technical side, which is more computer science. I think MIS is like right here at the quarter mark before being business. I think CIS is more like here. The 3-4 CS.
Yeah, it's like hybrid.
Right? It's exactly. It's very hybrid.
And that's also why I chose it too.
Exactly. Well, that's good. That's very good because, I like to tell people, if you want to be more on the technical side, then you probably want to go with something like CIS. You want to be more on the business side with exposure to, technology, then you probably want to go with the MIS side of it. But that's good that you did that. And I want to hit on something else that you said was, you looked at the money piece of it. I got to say this, man. There's not very many people that has said that and was very clear on that. You said you looked at the salaries of what people were making. You were like, I'm going this route. Like that is exactly what I did too, Textual Chatter. I say this, right? People say, okay, well, Antoine, what are you driven by? Shit, I want to make a lot of money, man. and that was what drove me towards the technology path. Right. And I see that the same exact thing with you as well, too. So let's continue on. So you did your CIS degree and you graduated. Did you go into the workforce directly after that, or did you go to grad schools? I know you got an MBA as well, too. So talk about the lead up after that.
If anybody knew me around the time, like right after I graduated, I was very adamant about not going back to school. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you. What happened was throughout school, I was working at Target. So when I graduated, I just went back to working at Target while applying for jobs. And back then, so I feel like I'm like an old head, like I'll be 30 next month. But
young man.
I know, but it's just crazy because now I'm seeing people like born in 1999 and 2000 like working with me or something like that. So I see how people used to feel when I was working with them. Yep. But back then, that our major, I knew where its trajectory was going, but our school was more known for engineering. So at the job fairs, they weren't pushing for a lot of companies coming down there to try to hire us or working out things with them for us to get internships. So that was like a disadvantage I had. Prior to me graduating in 2013, I graduated fall 2013. That summer, I ended up getting my Security Plus.
Okay.
So I thought with the Security Plus that I would have, found some before I graduated. But honestly, I lacked strategy, which is what I talk about now with, graduates or even people, that aren't in school. So I looked up when I was working at Target. It was about, I want to say it's like February or March of 2014. I get a call from a recruiter, and I was working on the floor at Target at the time, and I answered it, and I heard her say a magic number. At the time, guys, I'm gonna be very transparent. At the time, I was not getting full-time hours, and I was only making $7.75 an hour. And the recruiter called me, and she said she didn't tell. See, I didn't know it was help desk, but I knew I had to do something computer related. And she mentioned like I probably had to get a clearance, and then she was saying, yeah, it pays $17 an hour. So I was like, in my mind, I was like, oh, $10 more, hey, sign me up. And so they ended up prepping me for the interview, passed the interview, and then I had that wait process to start, because if anybody's familiar with like getting any type of government job, you got to fill out the equip, and it could take 1 month, 2 months to like 6, 7, the whole year. It depends on what's going on in the world, on how long you can get that clearance. And got that clearance, and in May of 2014 is when I like actually started my career, when I started doing help desk. And I was doing help desk for the TSA. So all the people at every airport, like really worldwide, you see the screeners to all the big wigs that you may not even be aware of, that like make sure the airports run like they're supposed to. We supported them. Oh, and we supported the if anybody ever seen Passenger 57, we supported the Federal Air Marshals as well.
Well, so that's dope. So you got to tell me this. Like, you're hitting on some things that are very important, and we have a lot of people on this channel that watch it specifically for the undergrad and getting tips of how they can come out of their undergrad with a full-time job. Obviously, you had a full-time job, but you were working at Target. However, something that you did say was that you lacked strategy, right? You didn't get an internship. Talk about that piece of it as well, too. How important are internships, you think, especially with coming directly out of college, getting a job in the technology industry?
I think it could be very important, because a lot of companies don't really hire entry level because they kind of want you to already know to do something. Like the only shot that I had an internship was, which is funny, I lost out to it to a good friend of mine. We both got to I think the last rounds, and they took her over me. So I was happy for that. I wasn't mad at that. Yeah. But it's very important. Like I've actually, it's one of the things I talk about I forgot, I didn't even mention it in the stream, but I have an ebook about breaking into cybersecurity. It's like 50 pages, straight through read, and all actionable advice, stuff that I did in my career to get me to where I'm at now. But, to segue past that, it's very important. And oftentimes, like for me, I'm a first generation college graduate. So before me, nobody had went through, especially for the male, went through and graduated like straight from high school. And so I don't have much, a lot of us don't have, when it comes to the Black community, don't have people you can lean on that's went to school and can ask them advice on how to do this and that, which like now I'm that person. I have a younger brother that's a senior in high school, and one that's a junior, and a sister. So now like he's talking about going to school, and I'm saying, wait. Let's look at this curriculum and see if it'll set you up to be successful when you get out of school. If not, you don't need to go. But the reason why I was so unsuccessful getting a position is because I didn't have the skills necessary to do the jobs I wanted. So in the school,
hit that more right there, man.
Yeah. And so like I recently said this on I don't know, it's one of my podcasts. It'll be coming out eventually. School doesn't prepare you to find a job. It just gives you some classes that technically really, unless you do something like a nurse or med school or something that like revolves clinical work, you're kind of, just getting lucky, unless you got a school with a good curriculum that understands what they're doing, that's got with the times, where it says, okay, hey, you're only going to do gen ed classes 1 year, the next 3 years, these are the classes you're going to work on. You have like 4 classes a year, and you're going to work on, this semester we're going to do Active Directory. This next semester we're going to work with SIM technology. This next semester we're going to work on, working on sifting through logs. We're going to work on, doing correlation, like stuff that you would do at the job. It should be what you should learn at school. Or even the advisors should say, okay, well, you're not getting an internship. You need to go find like 10 jobs you're interested in and take down the skills that you don't have. Those are skills you need to work on. And then you put them on your resume, and then, apply to internships. Also, apply to internships the first year you get to college. Don't wait till your junior year. Go the first year. You know, if you get lucky and somebody picks you, that internship may bring you back, or you might doing one internship and doing good at it. Shout out to my guy Tay on Tech. He talks about this in his career trajectory, because we worked together at Mackie. He was an intern at the time. He had already did 2 or 3 internships at the time, and he was not finished with school yet. And that's because he did good in internships and networked, and those managers said, hey, hire this guy, and he kept on getting to do different internships.
Yep.
So apply to all that you can early on, and most of these internships can be like remote now. Like back then, that wasn't the case when I went in 2010. So that's kind of why I say it's super important, because it will give you on the job training and you get paid for it. So it's technically professional experience.
That's wonderful. I'm glad that you actually said that. Textual chatter. That is great, because I say this all the time. All right, you should leave school with at least one internship, but if you can, leave there with as many as you can, 3 or 4 years, whatever it is. Right. And I got some people that follow us as well too, or LinkedIn, and one of them's name is Michael Ojo. He's been on the channel before as well too. He's had 5 in his undergrad. It's with big time companies like the Meta, the Facebooks, and so forth, right? So, it's very important to come out of school with that amount of experience, because that's what people are hiring for in these days. So I want you hit on that, and you did a really good job at hitting on that as well too. But talk about this, talk about the strategies, right? You mentioned that you didn't have like a clear strategy. Like what was, if you were to sum it up, like what is the strategy that you think you need or people need coming out of school to land that first job?
Sure thing. So it's pretty much what I do in the consultations, or anybody that's in school. I sit them down, I ask them what they want to do, and then we kind of work on reverse engineering. So instead of starting next kind of square one, I get you to look at the end goal first, and then we kind of work backwards. So I already mentioned, reviewing the skills, but you might not know what skills to look for because you don't know what job you want to do. So I refer to people use certain sites like it's someone called cybersecurity.org, and it's another one I have in my book. I forget like the actual URL, but what they do is you can type in different things, and it'll give you like a little Venn diagram of different stuff that it's connected to, and then you can start researching those roles. And then what I always employ people to do now is, once you find a couple of roles you're interested in, we got the best thing smoking that ain't exist 10 years ago. You can go on YouTube and do a day in the life of blank, blank, blank. And most of the time you'll find a couple of videos of a content creator showing you what they do on a day-to-day basis, which would then you say, hey, I'm interested in. So like, for example, I have a day in the life of a cybersecurity analyst video on my channel. I get people all the time to come on there and ask me about being in cybersecurity. What do they need? Thank you for putting this video up and show me what I'm doing day-to-day. I'm interested in this. That's one of the things you can do. And then after that, now you say, okay, boom. So how do I become a cybersecurity analyst? So that's another question you have to answer. Yep. Then you start looking at the typical skills you'll need. And then now this stuff isn't really do 1, 2, 3, 4. It can all be interchangeable. So you have, I always talk about like resume, networking. The biggest one outside of skills is going to be your network. If you don't utilize LinkedIn, and surprisingly, Twitter has also become a place that you can get job leads and actually get hired from if you follow the right people. If you're not utilizing your social media to be better in your career, then you're doing it all wrong. You have to build up your network, because you're at a disadvantage. For example, if somebody like you was trying to get somebody watching with no experience trying to get a job like me, I'm 10 years in the game already. You don't have that experience. Right. Or let's go back to 5 years ago when I had like 5 years in the game and you don't have an experience for an entry-level role. You need to have people in the network that can vouch for you. And I'm talking about from all facets, like regular team members, C-levels, hiring managers, all those people you can interact with on LinkedIn. You can interact with recruiters, talent acquisition, you name it. And the strategies that I teach for people, like whether it's an internship or a full-time job, I teach you, okay, boom. If you find a job that only apply to jobs where most of your skills align to, apply to that. If you're very interested in it, you can be proactive instead of waiting on to get a denial letter. You can reach out to the recruiter on your own through LinkedIn, and don't just say, hey, I applied for this job. You can just send them a quick little note. Then once they accept it, and you can go back and reintroduce yourself and tell them about yourself. So almost just like I introduced myself on the stream, you tell them about yourself, what you're working on, and then, okay, would you be interested in a screening interview or something like that? Like that's normally what they do. And those are actual things that I did that I screenshot from years ago, back when I was unemployed for like 6 months in 2018, that I did that led to getting many different interviews, just directly reaching out to hiring managers and recruiters. So that's something that I wasn't taught in school. So I was doing it all wrong. I was, applying to like 100 jobs and sometimes forgetting what I applied to. And then also, something I forgot to tell you is like with my book, people get a career roadmap that I created that they can just fill in for themselves in a job tracker spreadsheet. The job tracker one is huge because if you notate what you applied to, then it kind of helps you remember what you applied to, and it has a tab for you to assess your skills. And then also a thing that helps you is you can put that job description in a text doc or something like that, save it so you have it. So whenever they start calling you about the interviews, you can go back and review the stuff and work on what you need to work on and study for it.
That's dope. That's dope. You're going to have to do us a favor too, Textual Chatter. Drop the link to the book in the description as well too. And Ms. Wade, if you're watching, drop the link to Textual Chatter's YouTube page as well too in the comment section, so that we can actually get him some subscribers as well. I love that. I love that. So let's continue on. So you hit on the strategies of getting employed into tech. I love that. I think that's fantastic. Talk about your journey after that, right? So you got into tech, what made you decide, then to continue to develop? Because obviously you are a first generation, college grad, and, you're obviously, I can tell you're a leader by the things that you're doing today, and the fact that you're giving back and you're giving game and stuff like that. You got your tech job, your first one. And talk about that path, because you obviously went back to school. How long did it take you to go back to school, and why did you go back to school to get an MBA in information technology management?
Definitely all good questions. We'll go back to the first job briefly. The reason why I knew I needed to climb, because I love help desk, but I always say it doesn't get the love it deserves, because a lot of people downplay it, but not realizing, we're a very integral part of the whole operation. Routing stuff to the important place is super important, no matter how minuscule you think it may be. But it's also a job that becomes mundane quickly. And I knew I didn't go to school to do that. And help desk are sometimes people that do the most work but get paid the least. So just be transparent. Then that job was paying like $40K, but I was doing more than $40K worth of work. And then you combine that with I actually I tell everybody, most times your first job ain't gonna be the one you stay at a long time, and you deal with stuff. And I learned on the job, became even more of a man on the job, dealing with workplace politics, learning how to maneuver, making my own networks there. Actually having management stopping me, preventing me from going to different departments and things like that. That I actually experienced, that I got from the horse's mouth, which I knew. I was like, hey, I gotta go, because an incident happened one time, and I thought about going into my manager's office. Like, I know you seen Lean on Me when he got mad about when he picked up that thing doing the national anthem. Man, I was hot, man, because if you're gonna stop me from moving, at least say, hey, you know what, we really like you as a help desk analyst. We're gonna give you a salary increase. Something. They wasn't doing like that. They was taking money out of my mouth. So I was like, okay, I got y'all, man. I could have got to Texas faster had I had a strategy then. But I looked up. I interviewed for 2 roles at this company. I worked for the big company is called Income. They got headquarters in Atlanta, and they would like do payment card software. But in Dallas, the company I was working for, was called Online Strategies, and I started working for them in a knock. And quickly, that was boring too, because it only was fun when incidents happened. So when I had to do document everything, or something going down, because something going down is a problem in the knock, because they had different clients they helped, and if connection or server went down, then they losing money. So if they losing money, we lose money, and that was the big issue. But I had too much downtime. I used to work. My shift was Thursday to Sunday, so I do 12-hour shifts on Saturday and Sunday.
Yep.
And I was like, you know what? I'm not finna, because they wouldn't let that be remote. So I would wake up on Saturday and Sundays most days to do nothing. I used to walk around. I used to leave work sometimes and just go to the Galleria and just walk around till pager duty went off, because I was like, I'm not finna just sit here. For real, man. True story. I promise you. I really
so easy jobs. That was an easy one for you.
Right, very easy. I mean, I used to like tell people, hey, can you come visit me at work? Like, no lie, I was stuff I wasn't supposed to do. Like, I really was doing. But I started grad school. So let's see, if I finished in 2013, so I started grad school probably about 3 years. Okay. Yeah. It took me almost about 3 years to get back in. And one of my classmates, that it's funny, me and him went to Louisiana Tech together, and he had actually already moved to the area. He was working for State Farm at the time in Dallas. And what's so funny actually about that is now he's about to be working in the same company I am. But he was going to the school. He said, yeah, man, I'm finna go to University of Dallas. And now I looked at the curriculum and I looked at the heads. Like, So I applied and I got in. And I actually tell people all the time, I hate that grad school is more expensive than undergrad, but I feel like you get more of a value from grad school than you do from undergrad.
It's true.
Because
is true.
The classes that I did directly correlate with stuff that I do now. And it's also how I was able to level up at the company I started with after McAfee. Because I took the stuff I learned.
Yep. Well, I think a huge piece of that too, Textual Chatter, is, you know how like when you're an undergrad, you don't have any job experience, right? So you have little to correlate that with in the real world, right? But when you're in grad school, you're working the majority of the time. I'm assuming you were part-time, or were you full-time?
I just forgot something, man. I get so ahead of myself.
Yeah.
Of why I also wanted to, what made me stay with computers. When I was doing my CIS tenure, my work study student job was like pretty much a student IT assistant. And I worked for Mr. Eddie, who was a black guy who was pretty much designed like all the computer infrastructure in our new College of Business. So that was another reason why I was like, okay, I could potentially do this one day, because without him, he's running this. I'm talking about from the screens that come down, the smart podiums, the networking stuff that come in the drop down, like how we got the networking closets layered, from 1, 2, and 3, the third floors, like all that different stuff. So he was over there. So I got to shout him out, because he's also one of the reasons why I stayed with it.
No, that's wonderful, because that's, what that basically shows is that you had an influencer as well too, right? You saw somebody who was doing something very similar to what you wanted to do, and you said you looked up to him, right? It's almost like that, that role model, right? And the right kind of role model as well too. So that's good. But you had to say this. You have to tell me this. So, well, I want to go back to my point that I was going to make is, when you were in grad school, were you part-time or were you full-time?
Full-time.
You're full-time working, or full-time student?
Full-time working and student, because you could be full-time with 6 hours in grad school.
Okay. Very good. So, one of the things that I say, because I did the exact same thing as you too, Textual Chatter, is, I spent some time out of school, and then I went back. I went back 10 years after I graduated. And I thought it was perfect, but I do agree with you that, grad school, even though it's more expensive, it prepared me a lot more than my undergrad did. And the reason why I say that, though, and this is the reason, is because during my undergrad years, I was like you. I wasn't working at Target, but I was working at a hardware store, to where there wasn't any correlation with, me doing anything on IT, to being in the hardware stores, customer service, and, selling, nails and hammers and stuff like that. There wasn't anything. So, but when I was in grad school, I was a full-time worker as a director, right? Having to support some of the platforms that I'm responsible for. And when you're in there going through your technology classes, that stuff, it all makes sense then, right? When you're running, when you're working on accounting and managerial accounting, it all makes sense. And you start to say, okay, well, this is how you would start to evaluate a company. This is how, you look at revenues and things like that. It all makes sense once you are getting that real world experience and in school. So I tell people a lot of times now too, is this, if they have an opportunity to, go back and get an undergrad, just make sure you're working. Just make sure you're working. Like if there's a completely, like I'm talking to one of my patrons now, Alejandra. She's a full-time student as well as somebody who's in a workforce, right? She's doing cybersecurity. That's going to her be doing that now. She already has a bachelor's and a master's, but her getting an undergrad in it, she'll only have to do the technical portions of it. So she's going to learn a lot more going through an undergrad program, very similar to how we were when we were going through our MBA program. What would you have to say about that?
I totally agree, man. I had, and I saw the difference too when I was in grad school. The difference between me and the students that didn't have any practical working knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
We did a lot of, our classes had a lot of group work, which like right now I'm working on like a huge project in my new company that they brought me on specifically for that because I had worked with the software for years. But those group assignments, or you working on we had some type of project and I cannot think of the name for it, but you have to actually present something and get everybody on board. So you take somebody at the head. Once you get their co-signed, then everybody else starts following along. We're working on stuff like that, or enterprise architecture, or we did like future trend, like all different type of classes we did, were useful. It really wasn't a class that I took that wasn't useful for me. And I still, have the books in case I have to, pivot in back into some of that stuff.
Exactly. I still have, even though I've been out since I graduated my undergrad in 2015. No, not my undergrad, but my grad studies in 2015. I still have my books, Textual Chatter. My wife be like, "Man, you're gonna throw these things away because they're sitting in the garage, right? She might see them." Nah, I'm keeping them. I might have to reference them one day. Let's do this real quick. We got a super chat that came in from brother Master I.T. People literally underestimate the value of having access to people who are doing what they're trying to do. Thank you to guys for giving people insight on how to get to the bag. We appreciate you, brother. We appreciate you too, brother Master IT. This is another gentleman who's out there, getting it done and killing it, absolutely crushing it. I mean, like I say this all the time, right? I did an article last Saturday on just people like ourselves, Textual Chatter, who are out there helping people to get in IT to understand that there's another path to where they can make a lot of money, and it's for them. It's for them. And there's communities out here like yourselves, like you have, like I have, like brother Master IT has, right? That are helping people get into this space. They just have to commit to it and be a part of it, right? So, I say this. There's a tech space, there's a tech position, and there's a tech community for just about every single one. Find the one that you can relate to and join. That's it. It's simple. I vouch for Master IT. You want to go and get yourself some certifications and, Security Plus or CompTIA. Master IT is the guy that help you get your entry into IT. Plain and simple. That's it, right? And go and check him out. Check him out. A good brother of ours who's out there just crushing it right now as well, too, and down in Houston. Another Texan. We all seem to be in Texas, too, just crushing the game right now.
Speaking of that, I got to reach out to him because I'm being in Houston next month, so I need to actually tap in with him.
Check him out. Tap in with him, and I'll connect you with a couple other brothers, too. A brother Textual Chatter. Alejandra said it's an eye-opener when you go back to school for an undergrad in a different field. I'm loving the advice that you both are giving. We appreciate you, Alejandra. Alejandra is my cousin. I'm just finding it out. She's family. Let's go. Let's do this because we're going to continue the conversation. But what I want to do here, I want to hit on some of these comments in the the chat too. Let's see if anybody has any questions in here. Cryptology says, are there any TAMs here watching? Technical account manager. I think that's a fantastic role, by the way, cryptology. That is very hard for me to say because I don't see the N in there, but I think it's supposed to be cryptechnology, but cryptology. I love that. I think that's fantastic. Adrian says, MIS, you say yes. MIS is Management Information Systems. That's what that is, Adrian. And our brother Textual Chatter did a degree in computer information systems, which is a lot more technical, and I would almost say probably even a lot more harder. I did mine in management information systems, which is a little bit more business side, more managerial focus, with experience in technology as well too.
Right.
But they can ultimately get you to the same path. They can ultimately lead you to the same exact path.
And I picked them also because soft skills. Most people that are engineers don't have the best soft skills. You can always learn to be technical, but soft skills, can get you a bag. You'd be surprised.
I tell you one thing. I think that's the number one factor in getting you the bag. You can be technical all you want, but if you don't have those soft skills, you're not going to get the bag, man. You're not going to get to it. I would agree. Cryptology says, I was talking about that on my interview at 102.6, the Situation Radio. Replay is on the website. Black tech community is amazing right now, but you're right. It wasn't like that. You're absolutely right, Cryptology. We're going to have to link up with me. Send me an email, too, at support@blackheights.com, Cryptology, and we're going to get you and potentially get a collab going on as well, too. Adrian Nash says, let's look at the Bureau of Labor Statistics and see where the money is. Absolutely. Absolutely. You can go on that site. And I actually brought that up in one of my live streams, Adrian, to show the different positions that are getting paid the most in the United States. We got brother Christian in the house, another one of our patrons. And Christian just started his new job as a software engineer on Monday.
Nice.
And a good patron of ours. We helped coach and help develop his resume and get him prepared for the next. He's the one who did all the work, right? I mean, obviously he's the one that built the portfolio and all this other stuff. We just, provided some guidance and some mentorship, and Christian put in the freaking work and got a software engineering job within a matter of a month, crushing it, making numbers and so forth, right? So, and he has a lot more to go, and he has a lot more to get as well too. So Christian is crushing. We got brother Noah Page in the house. Noah Page is a Patreon member of ours as well too, out there crushing in the DC area, DMV area. He's an account manager, doing sales as well as doing a whole bunch of dope stuff in the videography as well too, with him and his brother's business. Let me see if there's any other questions in here as well. Adrian Nash says, book, please. So when you get a chance to Textual Chatter, drop that book link in here.
I did. It's in there. It's the textual.com/digital products. That's the book link.
Very good, very good, very good. Guys, I'm hoping you got a chance to see that. Let's do this. Adrian Nash says the curriculum for grad school was so interesting to me. Yes, I think the curriculum for grad school was, at least for my MBA, was absolutely fantastic. I love that. And Adrian Nash says, oh, manager accounting kicked my butt. It was fun. Yeah, that was one of my best classes. Absolutely. Adrian says, congratulations, Christian, because he's crushing it. Absolutely. So let's continue on. So you did grad school. What was the goal going into grad school? What was the goal going into grad school, and what did you accomplish after coming out? Because people ask me this all the time, Textual Chatter, Antoine, should I get my MBA? Should I go to grad school? And I say this, don't do anything of this stuff if you don't have an outcome that you want to come from out of it. And what I mean by that is, okay, well, I chose to go to grad school because I knew it was going to lead me to a promotion, which ultimately led me to getting a bigger bag, right? That's the only reason why I went. It was an outcome, right? I know that I needed to go to grad school because the people above me at the company that I was at a VP level. They had MBAs. Okay, well, if I want to put myself in position to compete, I got to go and get an MBA. It was a reason for me going to do it. What was the reason behind you going to get your Textual Chatter, and then what did you accomplish on the outcome side once you got it?
Yeah, so the motive behind moving to Dallas was to get a cybersecurity job. And at that point, I still wasn't there yet. My luck, I hadn't hit gold just yet. And so I was like, I'm at this job anyway. Let me make myself more attractive. And so I enrolled into grad school. And check this out. True story. I kid you not. I always trying to tell people that, like, when you do stuff either like the way it's supposed to be done for you, or when it's time, it's time. So right after I enrolled, which it was December of 2016, I started the next year in 2017. I went to this somehow, how you apply to jobs or stuff like that, and then they actually do you want to sign up to be part of the talent acquisition letters and all the crap.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I ended up getting an email sometime in December from Intel about a career fair they had in Plano. And I left a job function at the knock today to go to the career fair. I always tell people, like, you know, how bad you really want it. You're going to do everything you need to do to get to where you're trying to get to, or you're just going to complain. So I went to the job fair. I knew they was hiring SOC analysts or whatever. Talked to the manager. And this is all while my goal was to get a cybersecurity job. So technically, what ended up happening was that I ended up getting hired for that position while still in grad school. So I really didn't think I was going to get, you know, that position until after I finished. But just so happened when I started moving the way I needed to, it all worked out like it was supposed to. And that's how I really started the best part of my career, to where now you got that year of a cyber experience. Now you can go get a bigger bag and a bigger bag. Then you get somewhere where you learn some skills and you can just, you know, LinkedIn recruiter's not going to, you know, when you have, I said this the other day on Twitter, and yeah, I'm just leaving it there. Y'all see what my Twitter is. Y'all can just go follow it. You know, my pinned tweet is probably the realest thing I probably said on Twitter. But I told people that, hey, that the job title on LinkedIn matters. Because what I have now on there, like, I get approached offers incident response roles. And, you know, let's be honest, guys, you know, I come from humble beginnings, come from Shreveport. And one of the things that people like about me is I'm transparent. I show these things in my Slack channel, my Slack group that I have with people and everything. And even on my Instagram stories, like, now jobs don't, like, at this point now, base salary jobs are hitting me up between like 170, 180, and not including bonuses now. And that's and I know for a fact that's based off who I work for now, because they know if you're gonna poach me from this company, then you gotta be willing to pay me X amount of money. And you know, a lot of people now are, and I get it, I understand. I tell people now, like, if some people want to get 6-figure tech jobs with no 6-figure tech skills, and I tell them it doesn't work like that. If you want that job, then you got to go get the skills out there to show the value for that position. And then after that, they're going to find you.
I love that. I absolutely love that. And you know, something I love to talk about too, Textual Chatter on this channel, you said it, you know, 160, 170. I like to talk about the money piece of it, right? Because that's the piece, that's the reason why we're doing
That's what everybody care about, you know.
You know, so talk about this, right? So talk about the evolution of your career growth and your career salary, you know, from when you started getting into IT. Well, matter of fact, we're gonna take it way back. We're gonna take it back to the days that you was making $7 and you got that phone call from the recruiter, right?
Yeah. Think about it. I went from, you know, 775 and then 17 put me at like 37. Yep. Then when I came on as like a full time, went to like 40. Then I went to like 50 doing a knock. Like what, 75, my first SOC job. Then I went to like close to, I think the next job was like right at like 88K. And then they started giving me raises. So when I left that position, I think total comp I was getting like 115. And then that wasn't including what's what I'm looking for. That wasn't including, like, sometimes if you worked the holiday or something, they had holiday adjustments, so you could potentially make more money, really not doing that on a holiday. And then so I left there to get like almost a 50% increase in salary.
Wow.
So that took me from like 115 to like close to 170, you know, total comp now.
Wow.
And I did it, you know what I'm saying? So I just be transparent to tell people, like, you know, you can do it. It's gonna come, you know, I'm just hitting 30 and, you know, this is not even, you know, as high as I can get to.
Right. That's a big piece of it, right? That's the piece of it that people don't understand, right? Is that's not even the highest. As the need for skilled tech labor continues to grow, the more demand and the more you can actually demand from a salary perspective. And that's what you're starting to see these days. Now, my question for you is this, Textual Chatter, right? Like, you know, we all have our philosophies of how to get to the bag. I'm more of the type of person where, you know, I stay with my company. I climb the ladder, right? I climbed the ladder with, you know, went from a software engineer to director and, you know, then jumped to another company and went to VP. And, you know, then I decided to go into sales. Only worked for 2 companies in my entire corporate career, right? what about you? Are you the type of person, like what advice would you give people to get to the bag? Do you give them, job hop, or do you say climb the ladder? What's your philosophy?
It's really, it depends. So some people want to just get the money. I'll say, if you really just want to get the money, stay somewhere 6 months a year, go dip, get your bag up. But I always tell people that's cool, but you're probably going to be hopping around to the same type of position. For me, so like I said, I did 2 years at the help desk, and then the next longest job I stayed at was Optum. I was there 3 years, and within like 6 months of being there, I was already pretty much promoted to being the lead over the threat analyst. So that company within the 3 years let me evolve and even grow my skills more. That now my resume is proven my value of what I did at a company. I was on a huge client. I'll tell you offline who the client was, but a huge client. So now when I go on interviews, I talk about the stuff I did, saying like one of the career things I said is, hey, I took our SOC from a maturity level of 1 to a maturity level of 3. I had the opportunity to take my manager at the old company, became a director at the old company. And she was like, hey, my position's coming up, and if you want it. I didn't really want it because I didn't want to be on that team. And I wanted to go somewhere to expand my skill set. So that's why I went to fintech, because it's a whole different beast. It's something different that, I wasn't used to, all these regulations and all the different things I got to care about. But my deal is, I go for, of course I want the pay, but I get the experience. So that warrants the pay.
Yeah.
Because I could have been got like, the 6-figure job a long time ago if I just wanted to jump around. But that doesn't really help me much when I start really want to get into those roles with the different bag. If I don't have those skill sets to say, okay, what projects have you completed? What major things? So now, working on like a huge implementation to a new ticketing security module, is huge to have on a resume, because it may be another company that say, oh, okay, you worked on this. I need you to oversee this. You did this before. And that's exactly how, like, one of the reasons I'm working now, because all the stuff I worked with, I'm talking about Splunk, worked in with, incident response, working on what we do, tuning, like SIM tuning, rule tuning, working on alerts, which are called detections, all those different things that I put on my resume. I used to help with, and the reason why we had a very good, successful SOC team is now why I get paid more money.
And tell me this too, Textual Chatter. So one of the things I like to talk about too is, there's individual contributor roles, right? But there's also the management roles too, right? You can make a lot of money as an individual contributor, typically as an engineer and so forth. But what's your thought process on, where many of us should try to get to help influence, diversity and so forth in a lot of these companies? What's your thought process on that?
Good question. And that's one of the questions. So that's also one of the reasons why I went to grad school. I was like, if I become a manager, then I can hire more people. And so while I was at the old company, I got a lot of people on that I used to previously work with. My word was so good, they got on easily and we all shined. So that was one way to bring diversity. But now, like you said, management, director, like my next goal is to be a director. So now, boom, I get to make a lot of decisions. Now you see, a black head that's a director of whatever. That has the experience over there. Like, credentials cannot, be like looked upon, like looked down upon, like everything's solidified. And now I say, okay, give me this guy, because most of us in our network do have people that look like us that we know can do the job, just like vice versa. And I'm not mad at them for bringing their friends on. I mean, it is what it is. Because I said something, I can't remember what podcast I was doing, but I was like, I started piecing this together as I work for different companies. You'll be working somewhere, and then you'll say, oh, this new CTO, he was doing 15 years at whatever company. So I was like, you know what? The only thing that happened, the difference between us was they got here first, and now mostly people, are friends. They network with each other, and they bring them in for a purpose. So absolutely. Now we're getting to the point where we're here, and we can do the same thing to where, okay, pretty soon, boom, a lot of us will be like C-level or close to it, where we can say, happening. Hey, right, I know this guy. Hey, I know Antoine can get our sales team, whatever we need to do, or whatever you want to run, and bring him in. Like, he has experience. You don't even got to grill him. Like at certain points, look, guys, I mean, when unless it's like you're probably doing some FANG level, unless you just really know somebody that really can pull some strings, like your interviews really get kind of less intense because your resume speaks for itself. They probably did looked into you a lot from maybe some people they know. And that's another reason why I'm big on branding. Like since I branded myself, like I said, the offers keep coming. They just go on the thing. I could show you somebody right now my LinkedIn email when I asked the recruiter today, hey, what's the budget for that? Does that include salary? And he said, I mean, does that include bonus? He's like, nah, bonus, it's also on top of that as well. So
Yep. I say this too, TechtualChatter. It's funny, you're I haven't been in cybersecurity, but I've done, the software development for supply chain companies and the professional services implementation. And now I'm doing sales and so forth, right? I've even done the customer success and the customer support side, right? And I say this now is that I've been tapped so much to leave into, lead some other tech company, startup, fast growth. We need a director, we need a VP, we need somebody it's crazy. It is absolutely crazy. You're talking about your inbox and your email every single day. And these people are persistent because you know why? They're getting money now. And here's the thing, here's a piece of it that, I really didn't use recruiters before. I really didn't use a lot of, matter of fact, I never used a recruiter. Well, my last job, one called me up and was really, he tapped to my CEO and he knew that we knew each other. And then I was like a shoe in, right?
Right.
But now recruiters are they're talking and they want you to have success because they want to have success. So they want to get you in there. Right. So they even, give you the game of who you need to talk to, what you need to talk to, prep you for the interviews and all this other stuff. And they're persistent, man, because they're getting paid on everybody that they can position, that they can fill. It's absolutely fantastic. It's a lot of money that they get paid too. Right. And this is not even just contracting jobs. This is also full-time roles as well, too. They get paid pretty big money. I wanted to hit that. And something that you hit on, too, that it looks like Adrian had a question on was branding. Talk about that, because I know what you mean by it. I know exactly what you mean by it. It's very important. It's very important to make sure that your brand is a reflection of who you are and the work that you do. That's why I don't talk about crap on this channel, because people can go back at any point in time and say, oh, you know what? And that messes up your bag. Talk about branding and how important that is.
Man, I've said this on a couple of Twitter spaces, but the second half of 2020, and when I started this channel was when I really decided to go all in on my brand. So this YouTube is a extension of my brand, as well as what I do on LinkedIn, where I make, thought-provoking posts, where I bring my expertise and I talk about things, or I talk about, a cert that I'm studying for, or, just showing my value, and, it's part of my brand. And now when you look me up, you say, okay, I see what he does. And like you said, and I tell people this all the time, like I have a blog article I did about, like, how to level up in the workplace. And I included it as a bonus section at the end of my ebook. It's like, hey, companies are looking for leaders. So some people are kind of scared to get into this content game, but you just being able to speak like this and articulate your thoughts and show actually some of your soft skills, like, it helps you out. I've even showed, like, I got like one of the technical videos on my channel to where I used to use it, like, while I was interviewing, say, oh, send them this video of me using Splunk. Like, I know how to use Splunk. Just show them this. So it's so many different type of ways you can do this and stand out above the rest, because everybody isn't doing this. Some people just sending a resume in and they're thinking they're finna get hired. Then you got the other people that I'm teaching say, hey, send this resume, apply, then go in here and send them 2 paragraphs about yourself, what you're working on, your skill set, and what's next for you, what you're looking for in the company. Send them that. Watch the recruiter reply back to you.
Exactly. Exactly. That's the game. It's the back end. It's the back end. It's kind of like, how, like, we always used to go to club. I used to go to clubs, and you had to go through the front door. Now we got a little bit of money now. There's something that you can do to get shoe in the side door. You may have to pay out of pocket, but there's a way for you to do it, right? That's how we roll these days. That's how the job market is these days as well too. So thinking that you're applying to jobs and you're not using your resources such as LinkedIn, right, Twitter, I don't use Twitter that often. I'm something that I need to get better at, but I am very, very, I use LinkedIn all the time. And when I coach people, I let them, or I share with them how to use it to get the result that they want. And it's really about, doing the research, because everything is in one place for LinkedIn. You can see the company, you can see who the recruiters are, you can see exactly who's working for them, what color they are, all that stuff, right? Because all you see is the profiles and so forth. And you be like, hey, you know what? Oh man, this is Textual Chatter that works at this company, and he's in this position. I'm gonna see if he can drop my resume in, because I had him on my YouTube channel, right? Like, that's how you do stuff, right? And you can literally get an interview just from somebody who works for the company that you potentially know, and they submit your resume on their behalf. That's automatically a resume for a lot of, because it's a referral. And then the person brings you in and you get hired, they get money on top of it.
Right. Yeah. And that just brings me back into that whole networking piece. It's like, one of my shout out to I always say this like every time, like my guy Dayspring, man, I think he's either about to be 20 or just 20. I'm not going to announce what his next move is before he does on YouTube. But he's doing major things. He started off, if you guys go look up Day Cyberwalks and go back to 2020 when he started this tech journey, he's went from, zero to hero fast. And last year when he had got his first full-time, SOC role, I knew they was underpaying him. But I knew at my job that I already had pretty much everybody in the company like me. I said, you know what? I'm going to get you on. Referred him. He killed it. He killed it even when I left. And he, I think he topped out. I think he was already making 6 figures before he left that company. And he just got a new job at a major company at 20 years old. This is all in the 2 year time span.
Wow.
But the key is, what people don't see is, every time I'm texting him, or it's like we both, me and him are always up late at night. He's always working on something. So he's like, yeah, man, I'm working on AWS cloud formation, or I'm working on my home lab, or this and that. So by the branding piece of it, he also has a brand as well, like his YouTube. He does blog pieces. He's wrote articles on like how to make your own home labs, like all these different things. Like now, recruiters see your, and it's one of the things I also tell people to do to help them out in their job search, like to start a blog and document it. Because if you're learning a new skill set, you start blogging and documenting it, you won't be nervous when you start getting asked questions about it in job interviews, because you're gonna be familiar with the content, because you've been writing on what you've been working on.
Yeah.
So it's really one of the things that's like underrated. Like, and you don't have to be the best writer or anything like that. Get on something like Medium, or whether you just want to make LinkedIn posts, just get on there. I use a site called ProWriting.com, or you can use something like a Grammarly. It helps you with your sentence structure. And actually now Microsoft Word's AI has gotten better to even show you like, hey, this sentence probably might be better flowing like this. So it's really all about what you make it. But the key is, like Master I.T says, like kind of like, I would say 2 things: access and like exposure. Like those like 2 things right there are key. You may not think you could, get into tech, because a lot of people think like you got to be like some genius, some rocket scientist to do this. I'm like, not really, because you got non-tech roles, non-technical tech roles that are getting paid a lot of money.
Hey, I'm one of them.
Right.
I don't do the tech stuff anymore. I say that's for your young guys, man. I'm trying to get to the bag.
Man, I'm telling you, like I'm saying, just even something simple as like policy. Like I navigate a lot of people. Like when I review their resumes on LinkedIn, they're try to be super technical. But I'm like, hey, your skill set fits governance, risk, and compliance. Like in cybersecurity, like go that route. Lower barrier to entry, and you probably a better fit for it.
Yep. I love that. Tangeray, I appreciate the super chat. Getting the bag. Great conversations, fellas. Absolutely, man. We appreciate you. We got Kev Tech IT support in the house as well, too. Our good Kev, brother. Man. Shout out to Kev. Salute to
Shout out him for the new job too, man. He just got a new job.
Yes, he just got a new job as well, too, man. And he's doing some good things, man. Kev Tech is another one who is a big brand on LinkedIn as well as on YouTube and in the communities. And he gets, there won't be a time where he won't find a job, right? There won't be a time when people aren't going to be willing to pay him, right? It's important to have your brand out there and so forth. and which is, the reason why we do what we do. I love that. Persistent Bake said, big facts. Random Troop, I think you're always talking about the recruiting piece of it. Miss Wade dropped out the Textual Chatters YouTube's. Again, guys, go ahead and make sure you subscribe. Adrian says, companies are looking for leaders. Boy, that's important. That's the piece of it that's very important, because leadership in a company is make or break in people's experience in their career. That's a huge piece of it, right? Because you can be working for a leader or a lack of one, and you can have all the ambitions all you want, right? But if they don't have the willingness to promote, develop, and encourage you and stuff like that, to lead you to, to do more, right? To see that you can have an opportunity to ladder climb and get to the bag, you're never ever going to want to do it for that company.
Right.
It's important.
You should leave.
And you should leave. I would agree. I would absolutely agree. There's terrible leaders that exist out there, and I've worked for a ton of them, where I'm the one who has to take the leadership role for people who are in higher positions, right? To try to galvanize people.
And I've seen leaders like that destroy some people's confidence in themselves.
Absolutely.
These people are some excellent employees, and the leader is the toxic one, making those employees feel less than. Right. Don't, if you're good, don't worry about this. Your work gonna speak for itself. They keep on lying, keep on applying. That's the slogan for 2022. Well,
here's a piece of it too. Textual Chatter, you said leaders destroy. Well, they aren't leaders. They're just in positions of power. That's what it is, right? They aren't leaders. They are just in positions of power. They got the title, right? And they think that title actually means that they're a leader. It's not the truth. There's somebody that it just doesn't line up, right? A leadership is something completely different. And you can be a leader at any level. Right. And that's a huge piece of the things that we talk about here on this channel as well, too. What else you got to Persistent Bake says it's good OSINT practice. I'm assuming what is I don't know what OSINT is, but you may know what that is.
Open source intelligence.
Open source intelligence. Got it. Very good. Yeah. Adrian Nash says, this is so inspiring. I really appreciate that. Access and exposure. What job exactly? Taboo Smash says. I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah, I don't know what time the comment came in. So I don't know.
Me either. I wasn't sure as well too. Ms. Wade dropped out KevTech IT Supports channel, and guys, go and subscribe to KevTech IT Support as well too. And KevTech and I would be doing a live stream in March. I think March 7th or something like that. We got it on the calendar now. Adrian Nash,
we will too, actually.
Absolutely. I mean, we make our rounds. That's the good thing. It's part of a strong community. I love that. Adrian asks, I believe that a leader must be competent and kind. I would just say this. I think those are some good characteristics. But I also say, empathy and vision as well too. Right. I think that's a huge piece of it as well.
Here's a key. I said this in interviews a couple of years back, and sometimes I say it depending on the flow of what they asking me questions about how I interact with people. I use the term emotional intelligence a lot, and I don't think a lot of leaders take classes on emotional intelligence. Therefore, that's why they can't get the most out of their employees.
That's right.
If you know how to employ it correctly, you should have no problem with anybody, getting work done. You just got to approach everyone differently and figure out their strong suits.
I agree. Well, one of the leadership principles I was actually trained on, some of the things that we actually do here at Black Heights as well too, is situational leadership, right? Because you got to look at people where they are along their journey as well too. You don't treat somebody who's just come into the organization the same exact as you would treat somebody who's been doing this for 8 years, right? You just don't, right? And you look at things as like a task. What is it that they have to do? And you have to be able to either one-way communication or two-way communication. One-way communication usually for the people who don't know shit, right? The people who are just coming in. Hey, this is how you do it, right? You're not expecting a lot of feedback back unless they have questions, right? Two-way communication is, okay, well, I understand, Mr. Textual Chatter, you already know everything about cybersecurity. This is how I think you should do it. What's your thoughts on it? Nah, Antoine, you're wrong. I have the experience. I think you should do it this way. I think this is how we should do it. Okay, well, great. This is how you're going to do it then, right? That's two-way communication. So I love that you hit on EQ as well too, because it is very important. And some
I
of
took that class in
that's
grad
soft
school
skills.
at that.
Yeah, well, you know what's important is that's just part of soft skills. That's all part of, you know, what are the intangibles that mean you just really can't measure. The only way you can measure that a lot of the times is how much success that somebody's had in their life or with working with other people. Yep. Right. And sometimes that's even wrong a lot of the times too. And you see in the tech world because you can see a lot of these tech founders, they get up there and they're just the technical ones. And at the end of the day, you know, they got to the bag and people hated working for them. Right. Travis Kalanick, the guy from Uber. Right. You know, a lot of people didn't like working for him. He got ousted. Even the guy at WeWork as well too.
I think I remember hearing about that.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, Textual Chatter, man, we're at that time, brother. What do you want to leave the audience with that you want to remember, man? Any key takeaways you got?
Just I've been on this word probably like the last year. Is like be intentional. If you're in the job search process, be intentional with your time, your studying. Another thing, if you're trying to get a cert, book that date to take the test. Make that be the first thing you do. It's going to hold you accountable. You know, use your LinkedIn. Have at least 500 connections so you can see a lot of people coming on their profile. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much a kind of similar thing you can do on most social media profiles, but comment on their pages, thought-provoking comments, reach out to people. Some people are looking for mentors, show your value to a mentor, and they may mentor you. I'll leave it at that because that's a big one. I get hit up about that a lot. And, you know, some people want to be coached, not mentored, but they don't know the difference. And so I try to tell them about that sometimes. Yeah, man. Also, just telling everybody, hey, you belong. If you learn about, you know, how it is in the tech world, if you haven't been lucky yet, I got a video where I said like 100 jobs told me no. You know, so I'll just let you know, like, I'm just to leave y'all with this, like I'm a regular guy from Shreveport, Louisiana. I grew up in a mobile home, and you know I'm just making my way through the tech world, man. So if I can do it, y'all can too.
I love it. I absolutely love it, man. I appreciate you, Textual Chatter, for coming on, guy, and sharing your words of wisdom, your knowledge, your story, because I think it's very inspiring, right? I mean, like I think that's one thing I love about these collaborations is, right, everybody has a story, and everybody's story is unique because it's their story. And, you know, I think this allows us to, whatever pieces of it, of your story that resonates with others, it's going to inspire them that they can actually get it done. And then when you see people who, you know, are very similar in aspects of how they think or aspects of how they grew up, you likely want to mimic those kind of behaviors and follow and look into those people a little bit more. So it's exposure as well, too. So, man, I appreciate you for coming on to the channel tonight and sharing your experiences with us, man. And you're welcome back on this channel at any point in time too, man. And anytime you need me to, you know, drop in on yours, you just let me know, my man.
Definitely, man. Appreciate it. And I'll definitely be reaching out to definitely get you on the podcast. You know, maybe we can do a special one, you know, actually in person, some in Austin or somewhere. I don't know.
That'd be dope.
You just never know, man. It's always the person. I think that'd be pretty cool. You know, meeting other minds or something.
Absolutely.
But no, man, this has been great. I really enjoyed this. Chat's been wonderful. You know, if you need me, you can reach out to me on YouTube. I pretty much respond fast. Or my Instagram is Textual Consulting, Textual Chatter on my Twitter. I actually have a TikTok that I kind of just post stuff from my YouTube and Instagram and things like that on there, kind of like just snippets of tech vids. Every Friday, I'm dropping new podcast content. So if you don't want to subscribe to Patreon, you can check it out there on Fridays at 8 a.m. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Guys, go and check him out. Go and check out Textual Chatter. Check him out on the YouTube. It's way put it into the description or into the comment section of this video, as well as what I'll do is I'll put into the description of this video as well, so you can check out his handles and so forth. I appreciate you, my man. And guys, you know how we do it. And until next time, y'all. Peace.